Okay, so what I want to do is show how to hook all of the parts together to sort of make the complete studio. So again, everything starts from here. Everything comes in and out of this device, the 18 Mini Pro. And so really it's about thinking about where everything gets hooked in to these ports up top, okay? So what I'll do is I'll start to bring in one device at a time, hook them into the appropriate port, and then we can kind of see what the setup looks like overall. So the first thing I'm going to do is in these ports, the first four are for cameras right here, and we're only going to have two. One of the cameras will be a normal camera that we hook into. The other one will be like an iPad. So these are going to be the incoming data streams we're going to mix. The remaining three over here, one of them is an Ethernet port that connects to your computer. It's going to run the software. One is going to be a port that's going to be to a drive that will save the data. So when it records out, that's where it's recording out to that drive. And finally, HDMI out is going to connect it to an output screen that we're going to put so we can see how the mixing is happening. Normally it goes right under where the camera is right there. It'll be right there under where you film. And so you can see how the mixing is happening, and you can also get feedback for yourself about how your slides are looking, where you're pointing on your slides, and so forth. So let's start one thing at a time. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Ethernet port here. So I'm going to set it all up, and then what I'll then show you is the final production. And normally what I would do is also put a black background in the back, which I'll show you in a little bit. But for now, Ethernet port goes right into here. So I click that into place. That is going to be the output. This Ethernet port cable comes out here and it hooks into just a jack here, Ethernet jack that goes into an USB-C. And the USB-C is going to hook right directly in to my laptop. So that is going to hook into the laptop. So now this is going to feed all its output to this laptop where I can run all the mixing from. Okay, that's number one. Number two, this is a 1 terabyte drive, so it can hold a lot of video data. So that is going to come right here into USB out. That's the second port here. So this is recording all the information. So when I record, this is where it's all going to go, and then I can look at what I've done with the recording. So I have those. The third one I'm going to do here on this side is the HDMI out. This is going to be for me to be able to look at what I'm doing. So if you remember, I have this little 11, 12-inch monitor here, and what this is going to do is going to run into here with an HDMI cable. So you just run the HDMI out from here directly into here. You can adjust the stand, but normally I put it on the highest setting. And you just run your HDMI directly into here. You plop it in here. There, it's hooked in. So now have this plus what you want to do is there's a power cord to it, so you'd run the power directly into here, and then this thing is ready to go. So this now is going to be showing you what's happening from the mix here. And normally, again, what you would do with this is put this right below the camera over here, so that when I'm looking at the camera, I can actually see what's happening in the camera. Right below it is the mixing that's occurring inside of that. Okay, so that is where I'm sitting there. So those are the three that sort of, let's say, are both recording, running the computer, and my monitor to diagnose. Now let's talk about what's coming in to the ports here. So what I like to do is I like to run everything through an iPad. So I will have my slides on the iPad. I can even draw, so it's like having a board, except for now my light board is actually the iPad itself. And so I always recommend this with a nice pen, and then that gives you the flexibility you need. And so the way we're going to run this is we're going to take HDMI out to USB-C, and so we're going to run this through number 2 here. So this is going to be like our second camera. So we just hook that into the second slot there where it says 2, and we run that directly in to the iPad there. So now that's our data stream for the iPad. Okay, so we have that put in here. Now the last thing to hook in is the camera. Here's the camera. The camera's going to go on this stand that I have over here, but for right now, how would we hook it in? Well, we got the cable here. There is a converter here to HDMI mini. So most of these cameras have an HDMI mini port instead of a regular HDMI port. So we run here directly our HDMI, boom, hook that right into the camera there. And then this camera with this HDMI is going to go here directly into port number 1. So there's the 1 here, and that's going to be camera 1. So we pop this into here like that, and that is our setup. So let's look at the back of this. So out of 1, this comes into the camera here. So this is going to record. It's going to be on that stand that's over here that currently has my iPhone recording. Number 2 goes to my iPad, and on my iPad I'm going to have slides with a black background, so when it mixes with the camera it's going to be a 50-50 mix between this camera and this iPad, and that's what creates the light board type effect, which is you can see half of this, you can write on it, have slides on it. It'll be superimposed with this video camera, and I'll show you how to make some of these slides. I'll give you a template for the slides and talk about how to do the mixing directly on the computer. You have the output, which is here to a monitor. You have the recording device, and you have this Ethernet jack that runs it into the computer. So 5 cables, and it kind of gets a little messy. And then of course this here has to be powered. So there's one more wire that comes in. So this is a 6th cable, which is just the power, which you just screw right into here and plug in. So there we go. Now you can power this up, and you have everything running out as you need. Now all of this here will be pushed out of the screen. So eventually when you set up the studio, I'll show it to you in a minute, which is what you're going to have is all of this will be out of the picture, and the only thing you'll have is you'll have your iPad down below here running your slides, so you can advance your slides simply by swiping, and you can draw on your slides by here. And the way you can see what you're doing is because we have the monitor sitting right underneath there, and that's how we're going to set up this this studio directly here.